So I'll be teaching you how to sew this multiple cargo bags palazzo trouser with crop top. As you can see right here, it also has a curvy trouser pocket. I'll be sharing with you the tips and tricks to sewing this dress. So here you can see the pockets on the crop top, and you can also see the waistband. The zipper is at the back. Is fitted from the waist to the hip and palazzo from the hip downwards. If you also want to make it a little more bigger than what I have right here, I'll also show you how to go about it. And the crop top, if you also want it to be more baggy, but I just like what I have right here. So I'll be sharing with you the tips and tricks to sewing this trouser with multiple cargo bags. So if this is what you want to learn in this class, I will encourage you to stay till the end of this tutorial to learn how to sew this top and the trouser. Sorry about my voice, I have a bad voice as a result of cold. I'm using Kampala fabric for this project. I'm using 3 types of Kampala fabric just for the combination. But the main fabric, I only used 4 yards. I used 2.5 yards for the palazzo trouser, and I used 1.5 yards for the top, making it 4 yards. So this Kampala fabric came at 45 inches length. So I've already cut out my front trouser. So using my hip measurement divide by 4, I added 5 more inches to it. So just go ahead and add 5 more inches to your hip divide by 4. So I am making my border line. I place my fabric on fold. We want to cut out the front piece. So the band is 2 inches. I place my tape at the 2 inches and mark my hip length at 10 inches. After my hip length, I'm going to use my hip circumference divide by 4 plus 2 inches for the crouch depth. If you want the crouch to be very free, you can add your hip circumference divide by 4 plus 2.5 inches. So to get the length of this palazzo, I'm using 45 inches length. That is the length of my palazzo, but I added 1 inch more for hemming allowance, making it 46. So next you are going to take on the hip line, your hip circumference divide by 4. You mark the same hip circumference divide by 4 on the crouch line, and mark it also on the waist line. Right now, I'm going to connect my waist to the crouch line with a straight line. Next, we are going to mark out the crouch extension. So for the crouch extension, you are going to use your hip circumference divide by 4. The result, divide it by 4 again. So mine gave me 3 inches. So I'm going to keep my tape diagonally and mark 1.2 inches just to get a good crouch curve. So I went ahead to connect my crouch curve. After that, I came to the front. I went in by 1/2 inch just for a good fit and connected it back to the hip line. So after that, we are going to take the measurement of our waist circumference, divide by 4. So I mark my waist circumference divide by 4 on the waistline, added 1/2 inch for seam allowance. So I connected to the hip. After connecting to the hip, you come over to the crouch and curve in just a little. Don't curve in too much so you still have that baggy effect. On the hemline, I'm going to mark my hip circumference divide by 4 plus 4 inches on the hemline. You can make it 5 inches or 4 inches if you really need a very baggy effect. So I'll just go ahead and connect what I have from the hem all the way to the crouch line. So the front trouser is ready right now. So I'm going to cut it accordingly. So I went ahead and cut it following the chalk line. Then already I have 1/2 inch on my waistline for my seam allowance. So I'm going to open up the sides of this trouser. After cutting the front trouser, you place it on top of a folded fabric. Your folded fabric, you will measure 3 inches first, place it, and 4 inches on the crotch, then 2 inches on top of the waistline. Next, you are going to extend your hip line. Measure 2.5 inches on this hip line. If you're on a plus size, you measure 3 inches. Then I extended my crotch line. You will take the measurement of your crotch extension for the front, add 1 inch to it for the back crotch. So I got 4 inches for the back crotch. So I'm going to come up by 2 inches to accommodate the bum. So once I mark the 2 inches, I'm going to connect it to touch the 2.5 inches, then to the 4 inches crotch extension for the back. So after that, I'll begin to mark 2 inches. I'll mark 2 inches all the way down, then connect the back crotch to the 2 inches all the way to the hem line. So I kept measuring 2 inches until I got to the hem line. So next, we are going to measure the hip divide by 4 plus the 1/2 inch seam allowance and connect it slanted this way to touch that bum accommodation to the hip line. That is to accommodate the bum. Then on the side, we are going to add 1 inch on the side. That will serve for the seam allowance and the ease for the back piece. So I'll just go ahead and mark 1 inch on the side all the way down. So after that, the back trouser is ready. So the next we are going to do is to cut out. But before then, we have a zip at the back. You are going to extend from the hip line 1.5 inches. So you can see how I'm marking the 1.5 inches. So just go ahead and connect the 1.5 inches the way I did for the zipper allowance. Then we are going to cut out this trouser because the trouser piece is ready. So I'll just go ahead and cut through the chalk lines. As you can see me cut right here, I'm going to cut it all the way down. So I kept cutting. So you go in and cut, then you cut the crotch part of the back trouser. So this is what I got after I'm done cutting. So I'm going to separate the front and the back piece because the front piece have a curvy pocket. So we are going to create the front side pockets. So for the front side pockets, from the center front, you are going to measure your nipple to nipple measurement, divide by 2 and mark, then add 1 inch. You add 1 inch. Mine gave me 5 inches. Then on the side, you will mark 5 inches too. Then you are going to curve in the pocket. So this is the shape of the pocket we have for this palazzo trouser. Next, you are going to add 1/2 inch for your stitching allowance. So I added my 1/2 inch for my seam allowance. After that, we are going to cut out the pocketing. So I just folded the pocketing into 2. The length of my pocketing is 11 and the width is 10 inches. So I have 2 of my pockets, my fabric right there. I placed it right side to the front side pocket. Make sure you align the edges very well. So you can see I spread it open. Then I'm going to cut out the shape. So this is how the pocketing is going to look like right here. So I have 2 pieces right here. Please indicate the wrong sides because we are going to sew in this pocket right now. So I'm picking one of my pockets right now and I'm going to place right side to right side. So this is the wrong side of the trouser. I'll place them right side to right side of the pocketing and the trouser itself. I made sure I secure with my pin, and I'll go over to the machine right now. I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch for the pockets. So I brought the other front side of the pocket too, and I also lay the pocketing right side to right side. So I'll also secure with my pin, and I'll go over to the machine right now to stitch in place. Now after stitching, next we are going to do is to place notches. Please place notches because of the curvy part, so it will be able to turn very well. After placing your notches, you are going to pick the pocketing and the trouser itself. Then you are going to run 1/2 inch. You can see what I'm doing right there. I'll just hold the both of them together, and I'm going to stitch on 1/2 inch. That is the pattern of this trouser. So I will stitch 1/2 inch all the way until I got to the other end. So after that, you can go ahead and give it a good press. I also repeated the same thing for the other side. So you can see what I got right here. So now I'm going to flip. Please make a notch at the center pocketing. I forgot to make a notch. Please, it's very important because you are going to pick it up from the notch right there. So I'm making sure I align the sides. I align the sides of this pocket up to the point of that side pocket. So you can see how I folded it in. So the notch at the pocketing will help you to fold it very well. Please don't forget to make the notch. So after you have aligned the side, you will also align the waistline. Then top stitch everything together, the trouser itself together with the pocketing. So you have to watch this part very well to be able to understand how I folded this. So on the side of the pocketing, I'm going to make a little notch, as you can see me do there. I'll just notch in 1/2 inch. Next, I'm going to close up the side of that pocketing. So I'll pick it up and close it at 1/2 inch. So I'll close it up to that 1/2 inch notch I made. So next, I'm going to, this is the open part, so I want to show you how to close that part. So I'll go through the pocket and bring everything this way. I want to close it so we don't see any seam, any rough seam. So I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch all the way down. After stitching 1/2 inch, this is what I got. I'll push the pocket back to its normal position. Then we are going to top stitch on top of it. So I'll go ahead and run my top stitching on top of it. This is called the French seam. So after that, the pocket is ready right now. So I'm going to arrange my front pocket accordingly. So you can see the pocket looking nice and beautiful, and this is the back pocket piece. So I've sewn the 2 pockets for the front, and the front piece is ready, as you can see. So now we will begin to match the back and the front piece together because we want to sew the cargo pockets. So for the cargo pockets, you need to sew the sides of the front and back. So I picked up the back and the front. I'll go over to the machine and I'm going to stitch 1/2 inch all the way from the up to the down. So I'm done stitching and this is what I got. We'll begin to measure our pocket now. So make sure you place your tape at that 2 inches. Then you measure 11 inches. So I'm measuring 11 inches for my cargo pocket. So I'm going to trace the front side pocket downwards. So the measurement there is 6 inches. From the side of the front pocket, I mark 6 inches there. Of course, you are seeing what I'm doing. Then I'm going to align the front pocket to touch the 11 inches line of the height of the cargo pocket. Then rule a straight line. Now we are going to prepare our cargo pockets. So here are my cargo pockets. I have 4 small cargo pockets and the width is 7 by 7 inches for the small one. And I have 4 big cargo pockets and the width is 9 inches and the length is 11 inches for the big one. And unfold, the cover is 3 inches unfold and the width is 9 inches. So we'll begin to sew our cargo pockets right now. So here I will use this to demonstrate to you. So you need 3 pieces for this cargo pocket right now. So this long piece measures 3 inches width and the length is the measurement I got around the main pocket. So I'll go ahead and fold in half an inch and iron them nicely. So I'll also fold the upper pocket 1 inch in and half an inch on the sides. Okay. So this is what I got after I'm done stitching. I stitched the upper piece and folded in the strip. So we'll go over to the machine now. I will stitch half an inch on the cargo pocket cover. After stitching, I turned it to the front. So that is the cover of my cargo pocket. So this is how it's going to cover the pocket. Now we'll go over to the machine. I'm going to match up, folding half an inch, and then we are going to stitch that half an inch part I ironed in and also cut off. So here on the machine, you can see I folded half an inch and I'm going to place it to kiss the main pocket, which I also folded at half an inch, and I'm going to top stitch round. So I'll keep top stitching on top of the both of them like this. Once I get to the corner, I'm going to turn the strip and continue top stitching like that. So that is how to sew your cargo pocket. Once I get to another junction, I'll also turn my strip and continue top stitching. So once I got to the upper parts, I folded in at 1 inch. So I'm going to cut out the way you see me do. Then I'll fold in half an inch and then top stitch on top of it. So that is how to sew the cargo pocket. So you can see the cargo pocket right there. So we'll bring it back to the table. I'm going to place the upper part of the cargo pocket, folding in the strips. Then I'm going to highlight the space at which we are going to sew this cargo pocket. So I kept highlighting, as you can see. So I made sure I highlighted that space. So we'll go over to the machine now. I'll bring out that strip to sew. So here on the machine, I raised up my inner pocket. Please raise it up so you don't stitch on top of the side pocket, the one we have prepared for the side already. So here is my cargo pocket. I'm going to place the upper part of it. I'm making sure I bring out the strip, that is the inner strip, to align to that line. I'm zooming my camera for you to see what I'm doing right there. So I brought out the inner strip and top stitched on the line. So you are going to top stitch the inner strip, okay? So once you get to the junction, you raise your presser foot and continue top stitching the inner strip. Then I also came up to that junction. I kept top stitching until I get to that point. So after that is done, next you are going to kiss the both pockets and the inner strip together and top stitch finally. Then you go in by half an inch and just make a triangle. This is optional if you want to finish up your pocket this way. I'll repeat the same thing. Close up the pocket to the line and do the same top stitching. So we are done with the pocket, and this is what we got for the pocket. So we are going to place the cover kissing the main pocket. Then you are going to stitch 1/2 inch all the way down. So I'll just take it all the way down. After stitching, this is the pocket. You will close it up and top stitch. So please be careful you don't close up the main pocket while top stitching. So I'll go ahead and top stitch to the end of it, as you can see. So this is what I got for my pockets. So this is how I'm going to sew all my cargo pockets right now for each side. So after sewing this cargo pocket, I'm going to measure 3 inches for the small cargo pockets. So on that line, I came in by 1.5. So I want the small pocket to go inside a little bit of the main cargo pocket. Of course, you are seeing what I'm doing. I don't need to talk too much, okay? So just go ahead and place the pockets and mark the same way we did for the other. Then the spacing is 2 inches for the other small pocket. The spacing is 2 inches. So I brought the other pocket and folded in those strips and measured the main pocket size. So this small cargo pocket is 7 inches by 7 inches. Okay, that is the width and the length, 7 by 7 inches. So I now put it on that space. So make sure you put it on the space after sewing the cargo pocket to measure. Next, I came down by 3 inches for the down cargo pocket. So I'm going to position this pocket so the last pocket will be in between the small pocket. So I now measure the width of that pocket and got the midpoint. So I'm going to place the pocket, the other end of the pocket, to align on the midpoint of the upper one. So just watch what I'm doing, okay? You will get it right. So this is how I placed it. I also took or traced out the position I'm going to sew the cargo pocket. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other side of the pocket, and I'm going to stitch accordingly. After I'm done sewing the both cargo pockets on the front side, this is what I got. So the trouser is very much ready right now. So next we are going to put the front crouch together and sew 1/2 inch. And I'm going to also sew 1/2 inch up until the zipper point. So we'll leave the zipper space open. So after stitching, this is what I got. So next we are going to hold onto the trouser to sew the crouch part. So I'm going to open up the seam allowance on the crouch. Then I'm going to pin the both back and front trouser accordingly. I'll proceed to sew 1/2 inch downwards. So after sewing, you are going to measure the waistline. So my waistline, I took everything including my seam allowance all together. So whatever you get, you cut out your strip and hairstay your band. So my bandwidth is 5 inches, but I folded in 1/2 inch on the upper part for top stitching. So here I've already stitched my band. So right now I've already stitched one side of my band. So I'm going to use the other one to top stitch on it. Of course, you know how to sew your band. So next we are going to sew in the zip. So here is my band, and at the back you can see the 1.5 inches spacing for the zipper. So I'll just go ahead and iron that 1 inch zipper space and make a crease line to it before I sew in my zip. So here you can see how the front trouser looks, and this is the back trouser with the crease line. So I'll open up my zip, I'll go in and sew my zip. So here my zip is ready and we are done with this trouser. So for the crop top, I'm going to drop the link on the description box below. So please click on the link and watch how the top is made. I don't really want this video to be too long. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.